I trusted my best friend with a secret that could destroy my life. The next day, the whole school knew. But what happened next? Let's just say karma works in mysterious ways, and sometimes it needs a little help. My name is Elena, and this is the story of how I learned that the people closest to you can hurt you the most, and how I made sure they never hurt anyone again. It all started 3 years ago when I moved to Riverside High. You know how it is being the new kid, everyone stares, nobody talks to you, and you spend lunch alone wondering if you'll ever fit in. That's when I met Jordan. Jordan was everything I wasn't. Confident, popular, surrounded by friends. They had this magnetic personality that drew people in like moths to a flame. I couldn't believe it when they approached me during my second week. "Hey, you're Elena, right? The new kid?" Jordan smiled, sliding into the seat across from me in the cafeteria. "Mind if I sit?" I was so shocked someone actually wanted to talk to me that I nearly choked on my sandwich. Yeah, sure." From that moment on, we were inseparable. Jordan introduced me to their friend group, the popular kids I'd only dreamed of talking to. Suddenly, I had weekend plans, party invitations, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged somewhere. Jordan and I became best friends in the truest sense. We shared everything, our dreams, our fears, our crushes, our family drama. When my parents were going through their messy divorce, Jordan was there. When Jordan's mom was battling cancer, I was there. We were more than friends, we were family. That's what made what happened next so devastating. You see, I had a secret. A big one. The kind of secret that could change everything about how people saw me, how they treated me, maybe even put me in danger in a small town like ours is what I am. Now, I know what you're thinking, it's 2025, being it shouldn't be a big deal anymore. But you haven't lived in Riverside. This is a small, conservative town where rainbow flags get vandalized and kids still use slurs in the hallways without consequence. Coming out here wasn't just scary, it was potentially dangerous. I'd known for years but kept it locked away, terrified of what would happen if anyone found out. The fear ate at me daily. Every conversation felt like a minefield. Every joke my friends made about LGBTQ+ people felt like a knife twisting in my gut. The weight of keeping this secret was crushing me. I was having panic attacks, couldn't sleep, couldn't focus in class. I was drowning, and Jordan noticed. "Elena, what's going on with you lately?" Jordan asked one evening as we sat in their bedroom, supposedly doing homework but really just talking like we always did. "You've been acting weird for months. You can tell me anything, you know that, right?" I looked at my best friend, this person who'd been there for me through everything, who'd never judged me, who'd always had my back. In that moment, I made a decision that would change everything. "Jordan, I need to tell you something, but you have to promise me it stays between us. I'm not ready for anyone else to know." Jordan's expression grew serious. "Of course. Whatever it is, I'm here for you." I took a deep breath, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. "I'm lesb." The silence that followed felt eternal. Jordan's face went through a series of expressions, surprise, confusion, then something that looked like acceptance. "Elena, wow. Thank you for trusting me with this. I know how hard that must have been." Relief flooded through me like a dam had burst. Jordan pulled me into a hug, and for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. "This doesn't change anything between us," Jordan said. "You're still my best friend. Nothing will ever change that." I believed them. God help me, I believed every word. For 2 weeks, everything was perfect. Jordan kept my secret, treated me exactly the same, even seemed more protective of me when people made homophobic jokes. I thought I'd been worrying for nothing. I thought I could trust them with my life. I was so wrong. It was a Monday morning when my world imploded. I walked into school like any other day, but something felt off immediately. People were staring. Whispering. Pointing. At first, I thought I was being paranoid. But as I walked down the hallway, the whispers got louder, the stares more obvious. Someone laughed behind me. Someone else made a crude comment that made my stomach drop. By the time I reached my locker, I knew. Somehow, some way, my secret was out. Well, came a voice behind me. I turned to see Marcus, one of the biggest bullies in school, flanked by his usual crew of knuckle-draggers. Looks like we've got ourselves a little fairy. My blood ran cold. I don't know what you're talking about. Marcus laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Oh, I think you do. The whole school knows now, Elena. About your little preference. The hallway seemed to spin around me. How was this possible? Only one person knew. Only one person could have. Looking for your girlfriend? Marcus sneered. I heard Jordan's telling everyone all about your little confession. Guess they weren't as okay with having a lesbian best friend as they pretended. The words hit me like physical blows. Jordan. My best friend. The person I trusted more than anyone in the world had betrayed me in the cruelest way possible. I stumbled through the rest of that day in a haze of humiliation and heartbreak. Kids I'd never even spoken to knew my secret. Teachers looked at me with pity. My phone buzzed constantly with texts ranging from supportive to downright cruel. But the worst part? Jordan was nowhere to be found. They'd lit the match, watched the fire catch, and then disappeared. I finally found them after school, surrounded by their usual crowd, laughing like nothing had happened. When they saw me approaching, the laughter died. Elena, Jordan started, but I cut them off. Why? The word came out broken, barely a whisper. Jordan had the decency to look ashamed, at least. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Sarah overheard us talking, Anne. Sarah? I looked around and spotted her in Jordan's group, looking uncomfortable. You mean you were gossiping about my secret? It wasn't gossip. Jordan protested. I was trying to figure out how to be supportive, and Sarah has a lesbian cousin, so I thought. You thought you'd discuss my private business with someone else without my permission. Rage was building in my chest, hot and fierce. You promised me, Jordan. You looked me in the eye and promised. I know, but nothing. I was shaking now, 3 years of friendship crumbling into dust. You destroyed me. Do you understand that? You destroyed my life. I turned and ran before they could see me cry, before I could say something I'd regret, before I completely fell apart in front of the entire school. That night was the lowest point of my life. I lay in my bedroom, staring at the ceiling, wondering how I'd face school tomorrow, or the day after, or ever again. My phone was full of messages I couldn't bear to read. My parents kept knocking on my door, worried but not understanding why their son was suddenly falling apart. But somewhere in the darkness of that awful night, something changed in me. The grief began to crystallize into something harder, colder. Something that whispered dangerous thoughts about justice and consequences. Jordan had humiliated me in front of the entire school. They'd broken a sacred trust, destroyed my sense of safety, and then tried to make excuses. They'd shown me exactly how much our friendship meant to them. It was time to show them how much it meant to me. I spent the next month planning. Not openly seeking revenge, that would have been too obvious, too messy. No, what I had in mind required patience, observation, and a deep understanding of exactly who Jordan really was. See, living in Jordan's shadow for 3 years had taught me things. I knew their secrets, their insecurities, their fears. I knew how they manipulated situations to always come out looking good. I knew the cracks in their perfect facade. Most importantly, I knew that Jordan's greatest fear was being alone. Being abandoned. Being rejected by the very people whose approval they craved most. The plan began to take shape. First, I started small. Jordan had always been slightly paranoid about what their friends thought of them, constantly seeking validation. so I began planting tiny seeds of doubt. A casual comment to Sarah about how Jordan had seemed different lately. A concerned question to Mike about whether he'd noticed Jordan talking behind people's backs. Nothing obvious, nothing traceable back to me. Just enough to make people start paying attention. Then I started gathering ammunition. You see, Jordan's phone had no password, they'd always been too confident, too trusting. During our 3 years of friendship, I'd seen dozens of screenshots, conversations, and photos that Jordan probably forgot existed. But I remembered everything. The cruel messages Jordan had sent about Sarah's weight. The screenshots of Mike's private breakup texts that Jordan had shared with others for entertainment. The photos Jordan had taken of Emma during her embarrassing drunk episode at a party, photos that could ruin her reputation if they ever got out. Jordan had spent years collecting these little pieces of social ammunition, never thinking they might one day be used against them. They'd always been the one holding the cards, never imagining someone might shuffle the deck. But I wasn't ready to play those cards yet. No, I had something more elegant in mind. The second phase involved becoming indispensable to Jordan's friend group. Funny how quickly people forget why they disliked someone when that person starts being incredibly useful to them. I helped Sarah with her college applications, spending hours editing her essays until they sparkled. I tutored Mike in chemistry when he was failing. I became Emma's shoulder to cry on when she was going through family drama. One by one, I wove myself into their lives, becoming someone they valued, someone they trusted. And through it all, Jordan watched with growing unease. They could see their friends growing closer to me, but they couldn't figure out why that bothered them so much. After all, they'd made it clear that our friendship meant nothing to them. The irony was delicious. But the real masterstroke came during spring break planning. The group had been talking about renting a beach house together, their annual tradition that I'd never been part of before. This year, though, I'd become enough of an insider that they naturally included me in the planning. That's when I discovered Jordan's most carefully guarded secret. During one of our planning sessions at Jordan's house, I excused myself to use the bathroom. But instead, I slipped into Jordan's bedroom, knowing I only had a few minutes before someone noticed I was gone. Jordan's laptop was open, logged into their social media accounts. And there, in their private messages, I found gold. Jordan had been having an emotional affair with Emma's boyfriend, Tyler. Months of flirty messages, secret meetings, plans to hook up during spring break while Emma would be visiting her grandparents. The betrayal was breathtaking in its scope and cruelty. But that wasn't even the best part. Digging deeper, I found evidence of Jordan's other deceptions. They'd been stealing money from their part-time job to fund their lifestyle, lying to their parents about their grades, and, most damning of all, had been systematically spreading rumors about each member of their friend group to the others, playing them against each other while positioning themselves as the loyal center of the drama. Jordan wasn't just a bad friend, they were a master manipulator who'd been playing everyone for years. I took photos of everything with my phone, my hands shaking with excitement and disgust. This was it. This was how Jordan's world would end. But I still needed the perfect moment, the perfect stage for the revelation. And spring break was going to provide exactly that. The group had decided on a beach house in Ocean City for the week. Jordan was practically giddy with excitement, no doubt anticipating their secret rendezvous with Tyler while Emma was away. They had no idea they were walking into a trap I'd been setting for months. I volunteered to handle the group chat and social media documentation for the trip, innocent enough, and it gave me control over how information flowed through the group. On the third night of the trip, I struck. We were all hanging out on the deck, slightly drunk from a day of drinking on the beach, when Emma mentioned missing Tyler and wishing he could have joined us. "Oh, he probably wishes he could be here too," I said casually. "Especially with all those messages he's been sending about missing you." I pulled out my phone, pretending to scroll through something innocuous. "Actually, Emma, did you know Tyler's been messaging someone from our group? I saw some notifications pop up on Jordan's phone earlier." The atmosphere shifted instantly. Emma sat up straighter. Jordan went pale. What kind of messages? Sarah asked, sensing drama. Oh, I'm sure it's nothing, I said, feigning uncertainty. But they looked pretty, friendly. Elena, what are you talking about? Jordan's voice was tight with panic. I looked directly at them, and for the first time in months, I smiled. A real, genuine smile. Should I show them, Jordan? Or would you prefer to explain yourself? The silence was deafening. Emma was looking between us, confusion turning to suspicion. Sarah and Mike were sensing the tension but not understanding it yet. Show us what? Emma demanded. I pulled up the photos I'd taken of Jordan's messages with Tyler. Screenshot after screenshot of flirty conversations, plans to meet up, Jordan talking about how they'd always been attracted to Tyler but never acted on it because of Emma. These messages, I said, handing my phone to Emma. From Tyler to Jordan. Going back months. Emma's face went through a series of emotions as she scrolled through the evidence. Confusion, hurt, disbelief, and finally, rage. Jordan, she whispered, her voice deadly quiet. What the hell is this? Jordan was stammering, trying to come up with an explanation, but there wasn't one. The messages were damning, clear, undeniable. It's not what it looks like, Jordan pleaded. I mean, yes, we were texting, but nothing happened. Nothing physical. Nothing physical yet, I corrected, pulling up the messages about their spring break plans. But you were planning to change that this week, weren't you? While Emma was supposed to be visiting her grandmother. The group exploded. Emma was crying and screaming at Jordan. Sarah was demanding to know what other lies Jordan had told. Mike was trying to process the fact that his friend had been planning to betray Emma so callously. But I wasn't done. There's more, I announced, and the fighting stopped as everyone turned to look at me. So much more. Over the next hour, I systematically destroyed Jordan's life. I showed them the screenshots of Jordan mocking Sarah's weight behind her back. The evidence of Jordan sharing Mike's private breakup texts for entertainment. The photos Jordan had taken of Emma without her consent during her vulnerable moments. But the piece de resistance was the evidence of Jordan's manipulation, the messages where they'd trash-talked each member of the group to the others, stirring up drama and conflict while positioning themselves as the peacemaker. Jordan's been playing all of you against each other for years, I explained as they scrolled through message after message of Jordan's two-faced behavior. Every fight you've had, every misunderstanding, Jordan was feeding information to both sides, making sure the drama continued. The realization hit them like a physical blow. Years of friendship, years of trust, all revealed to be nothing more than an elaborate manipulation. But why? Sarah whispered, looking at Jordan like they were seeing a stranger. Because Jordan likes to be needed, I said. They like being the center of attention, the person everyone comes to with their problems. But the only way to guarantee that is to make sure everyone has problems. Jordan tried to defend themselves, tried to explain, but the evidence was overwhelming. Every protest just made them look more guilty, more manipulative. One by one, Jordan's friends turned away. Sarah blocked their number right there on the spot. Mike told them to find their own way home from the beach house. Emma threw Jordan's belongings off the deck onto the sand below. Get out, Emma said, her voice shaking with rage. Get out now, and don't ever contact any of us again. Jordan looked at me, their eyes filled with hurt and betrayal. Elena, how could you do this to me? After everything we meant to each other? I stood up, looking down at the person who'd once been my best friend, who destroyed my sense of safety and trust for the sake of gossip and social currency. You want to know how I could do this? I asked. The same way you could betray my deepest secret to the entire school. The same way you could plan to stab Emma in the back with her own boyfriend. The same way you could spend years manipulating everyone who cared about you. I paused, savoring the moment I'd been building toward for months. The difference is, when you betrayed me, I was innocent. I trusted you with something precious and you threw it away for entertainment. But when I'm betraying you, I'm exposing who you really are. I'm not destroying an innocent person, Jordan. I'm revealing a monster. Jordan left that night with nothing but a duffel bag and a rideshare back to town. Their entire social circle collapsed, their reputation destroyed, their secrets laid bare for everyone to see. The rest of us finished out the beach house trip in a strange combination of celebration and mourning. Celebration for finally understanding the toxic dynamic that had been poisoning their friendships for years, and mourning for the time they'd wasted believing Jordan's lies. But for me, it felt like justice. Pure, perfect justice. When we got back to school, the story spread like wildfire. Jordan became a social pariah overnight, not because they were gay or different, but because everyone now knew they were manipulative, untrustworthy, and cruel. The very social currency they'd spent years accumulating became worthless when people realized how they'd earned it. They tried to apologize to me once, cornering me by my locker a few weeks after we got back. "Elena, please," they begged. "I know I messed up with your secret, but this is too much. You've destroyed my entire life." I closed my locker and looked at them, really looked at them. The confident, popular, magnetic person I'd once idolized was gone. In their place stood someone hollow, desperate, broken. "You destroyed your own life, Jordan," I said calmly. "I just made sure everyone else could see what you'd built it on." "But we were best friends," they whispered. "That has to count for something." I shouldered my backpack and started walking away. Then I stopped and turned back. "You know what the funny thing is? When you betrayed my secret, I thought it was the worst thing that could happen to me. I thought you'd destroyed my life. But you actually did me the biggest favor anyone's ever done for me." Jordan looked confused. "What do you mean?" I smiled, and this time there was no anger in it, no bitterness. Just genuine gratitude. "You showed me who you really were. And more importantly, you showed me who I really am. I'm not the scared, closeted kid who needs to hide anymore. I'm someone who stands up for themselves and protects the people who matter." I gestured around the hallway, where I could see my new friends, Sarah, Mike, Emma, and others who'd welcomed me not despite my sexuality but because of my character. I have real friends now. People who accept me for who I am, not who I pretend to be. People who don't keep secrets as currency or loyalty as leverage. You taught me the difference between someone who says they're your friend and someone who actually is. Jordan's face crumpled. "Elena, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "I know you are," I said. "But sorry doesn't undo the damage. And frankly, even if it did, I wouldn't want it to. My life is better without you in it." I walked away then, leaving Jordan standing alone in the hallway, finally experiencing the isolation they'd always feared most. That was 6 months ago. Jordan transferred schools shortly after, unable to handle being a social outcast in the place where they'd once reigned supreme. I heard through the grapevine that they were getting therapy, trying to work through their issues, maybe becoming a better person. I hope that's true. Despite everything, I don't hate Jordan anymore. They were a toxic person who did terrible things, but they were also a teenager dealing with their own problems in the worst possible ways. Everyone deserves a chance to grow and change. But they'll never get another chance to hurt me or the people I care about. As for me, my life has never been better. Coming out, even if it wasn't on my own terms, was the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm open about who I am now, proud of it, surrounded by people who love and accept me unconditionally. I learned that real friendship isn't about keeping each other's secrets, it's about creating an environment where secrets aren't necessary. It's not about manipulation or leverage or social currency. It's about genuine care, respect, and loyalty that doesn't need to be earned or maintained through fear. Jordan taught me that lesson in the cruelest way possible, but they taught it to me nonetheless. And sometimes, the best revenge isn't about hurting the person who hurt you. Sometimes, the best revenge is living well, surrounding yourself with better people, and becoming someone stronger than you were before. Though I have to admit, watching Jordan's perfectly constructed social empire crumble in real time was pretty satisfying too. Some people might say I went too far, that what I did was cruel or excessive. But I disagree. Jordan spent years manipulating and hurting people, using their secrets against them, playing them against each other for entertainment and social gain. All I did was turn the spotlight on who they really were. I didn't lie, I didn't fabricate evidence, I didn't hurt innocent people. I simply revealed the truth that Jordan had been hiding behind a mask of false friendship and manufactured drama. The consequences Jordan faced weren't punishment, they were just the natural result of people finally seeing their true character. And that, I think, is the most perfect revenge of all. Not destroying someone for who they are, but exposing who they've chosen to become. Jordan betrayed my trust, humiliated me publicly, and tried to destroy my sense of safety and belonging. In return, I gave them exactly what they gave me, the experience of having their carefully constructed social life crumble when people learned the truth about who they really were. The only difference is, I deserved better. Jordan got exactly what they earned. Justice, it turns out, really is the sweetest revenge of all.